We're talking all about the hardest part about retiring and what derails a lot of folks from even retiring in the first place. No, it's not something tax related. It's not investing related. It's not financial related. It's actually all up here in your head. You don't want to miss today's episode. Thanks again for tuning in. If you like today's content, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button so that you keep getting content just like this. And of course, if you need help with your own financial plan, reach out to us at www.modernwealth.com. That's modern, spelled with no vowels, wealth.com. So as a financial planner, I've worked with a lot of folks on retiring and really helping them transition from their working years to their retirement years. I've seen people do this transition with millions and millions of dollars, and I've seen people do this with maybe only $100,000 in total savings, right? So I've seen it all throughout my career, and I've seen the different challenges that people face when they make this transition. And what's really interesting is that this really applies to any demographic with lots of money, a little bit of money, right? Business owner, non-business owner. This applies to them as they make this transition. And it applies to a lot of people and actually derails a lot of retirement plans and causes a lot of issues. So what exactly is that issue that I'm talking about? Well, I'm talking all about saver's mentality. So saver's mentality is exactly what it sounds. You work for perhaps decades, years and years, stuffing money away for retirement, savings, doing all the right things. And as a result, you've built up some really good habits. You've trained your mind, your budget, etc., to put away X amount of dollars for retirement. And so you fast forward all those decades down the road, and now retirement is finally here. Should be easy. You've put away tons of money. On paper, things look really, really good. But guess what? Now that idea of drawing down money from your accounts that you've built up over the years, the thought of doing that really sets you off and scares you. And so as a result, you don't retire at all. Or maybe you do retire, but you decide to find a way to replicate that paycheck as quickly as possible. So you take Social Security earlier. You decide to forego doing any sort of advanced tax planning where you have to pay some taxes out of pocket because the thought of spending any extra money in retirement, now that you don't have a paycheck coming in, really, really scares you. And heck, maybe you go back to work altogether because the thought of not having money come in scares you to death. The thought of pulling money, drawing down money from your savings, from this big pile of cash that you've built up, the thought of taking from that really gets you uncomfortable. That, ladies and gentlemen, is saver's mentality. And that is the single biggest thing that I see derail retirement plans. It is the hardest part about retiring for a lot of people. And what's really interesting, again, is that I've seen people with millions and millions of dollars who on paper have more than enough to enjoy a very fruitful retirement and do whatever they want, and yet can't get over the mental hurdle of drawing down from their retirement. And the thing is about saver's mentality is that on the surface, it just sounds merely psychological, right? It just sounds like a psychological hurdle that you just simply need to get over. But the reality is that most people, not most people, but a lot of people struggle with it. And a lot of people don't get over it. And as a result, their retirement plans get completely derailed. These are some of the hardest clients to actually work with because no matter how much data you present to them that they're going to be okay, they're still really, really uneasy. They're scared. But I think if you put in the work, just like with anything, if you put in the work, you can overcome saver's mentality. You can get over this. You can get over this hump and have a very fruitful and fun retirement and not look back 20 years from now, right? When you're in your 80s and 90s or whenever it is, and think, man, I should have retired earlier. I should have spent more. I should have done this, right? You don't want to be that person. So again, as a financial planner who has been doing this for a while, here's just a couple tips that I have for you to overcome saver's mentality and get over this block. So first and foremost, establish some sort of formal retirement plan. I'm not saying you have to go hire a financial planner, right? Obviously, it's a shameless plug for Modern Wealth, right? If you need a retirement plan, hit us up. You know we're here for you. But in reality, right, if that's not in your budget or you're just uncomfortable with that, I mean, there's tons of tools online, DIY tools that you can use to set up some sort of retirement plan for yourself. And a formal retirement plan should outline when you can retire, what your cash flows look like, what your tax plan should look like, all of this, and give you some quantitative data on retiring so that you can be confident about that decision, right? You can be confident about retiring at a certain age. You can be confident about spending a certain amount throughout retirement, right? People who don't have a formal retirement plan, it's kind of like having a goal of wanting to maybe lose body fat and get more in shape. And so you pursue this journey to losing weight and getting more in shape, but you don't have any sort of diet in place. You're not tracking what you're eating. You're not tracking your macros. There's no formal exercise plan. You're kind of just thinking it and you're mentally working towards it. And maybe you're going through the steps a little bit, but you're not actually moving the needle. Or maybe you are, but you have no idea because there's no formal plan that is in place. And it's the same thing here. People that have a formal plan in place, it's much easier for them to make more confident decisions in the retirement than folks who do not. And that's just the facts. Now, plenty of folks have formal retirement plans. In fact, there's clients of ours that we work with that have extremely robust retirement and tax plans and still cannot get over saver's mentality, right? I mean, again, this is decades, years and years of conditioning in your head, right? And this can be a really tough block for a lot of folks to get over, even with a formal plan. So if this is the case, the next piece of guidance I would tell you to consider is to perhaps force yourself to take money out of your accounts when you retire. Force yourself to take money right away. So what do I mean by that? So there are folks who perhaps have retired. Maybe they have income sources or don't have a huge need to draw down from their portfolio because they have that saver's mentality, right? I mean, maybe there's not a huge need, but they're also not spending the way they could and not enjoying their retirement the way they could because they have this mentality of, I just want to keep building up this pile. And I know I've retired, but I want to preserve this big mountain of wealth, right? Which in my opinion, that's useless, right? If you're not actually going to spend and enjoy your money, what do you do it for, right? What do you do it for if you're not going to enjoy it? So what we do in these situations is we set up an automatic distribution from their accounts, right? We set up a reoccurring monthly outflow to their checking account, call it $5,000, and we send that $5,000 out to their bank account every single month. And we tell them, hey, take this $5,000. We're going to send it to your checking account, spend it, enjoy it, have fun with it. This is also extremely helpful for the folks who are extremely anxious about the idea of not having a paycheck come in once they retire, right? Having something like this in place can effectively replicate that same feeling and help them get over that mental hump of that they can't retire. Again, it works really well in two cases, right? For the folks that are scared of retiring because they don't want to lose a paycheck, well, guess what? We'll just replicate it through this method. Or B, the folks that are just refusing to spend their money, we're going to force you to spend it down. We're going to send money your way with the idea that you are going to spend it down. Now, the third thing that I want you to consider is that if having a formal plan in place, forcing yourself to take money out to enjoy your money is not enough, the third thing I want you to consider is get an accountability buddy. Get someone maybe close to you in your life, right? For our clients, we're effectively that accountability person. And set spending goals with your accountability buddy. So for example, for the folks that we do this with, that we really are trying to get them to spend down their money and enjoy their wealth, we'll perhaps have them outline what are their kind of dream spending goals, right? Maybe it's a dream trip. Maybe it's a really nice kitchen remodel, right? Whatever it may be, we have them outline those goals. And a lot of times, a lot of folks think, you know what, that isn't attainable, right? I can't do that. When in reality, they easily can. They just don't want to draw down from their savings. So what we do is we kind of set a date. We say, hey, you have until this date to start getting this plan in motion, booking that vacation, doing this, right? Whatever it is. We'll raise the cash, right? We'll make sure the money is prepped for them. And we set a deadline for them. And if they haven't taken action past that deadline, you best believe we're going to bug them about it, right? We're going to be like, hey, you said you were going to do this. What's up, right? You haven't booked that vacation. You haven't, met with a contractor to do the remodel in the kitchen, right? Whatever it is, right? We're going to make sure that you're actually working towards those specific spending goals that you've laid out. And so that is what hopefully your accountability buddy can do for you, is keep you accountable to spending and enjoying that retirement. Bottom line, guys, it is 100% okay for you to spend your hard-earned dollars that you've worked years and years and years to build up. That money that you worked for is meant to work for you to enjoy, for you to give back, right? However you want to spend your money, it is for you. Your money isn't meant to be piled up in some account somewhere just for you to log in on your phone to some app to see some big number pop up across your screen and look at it every single day and think, yep, that's a nice pile of cash, and then log out and rinse and repeat, right? That's not the purpose of building wealth, right? Building wealth is all about having purpose, right? Whether that's spending down your money, whether that's giving back to your community, whether that's supporting family, right? Whatever your purpose is, that's what wealth is all about, is to make your money work for you the way that you want to. I've seen this lots of times throughout my career, and I know a lot of my colleagues in this industry have certainly seen it as well. Folks that are in their 80s and 90s who have plenty of wealth, and they look at it and they think, man, I could have retired earlier. Man, I could have done this. I could have, spent more on my kids, or I could have spent more on supporting family or charitable organizations, or I could have taken those vacations, but I didn't, because I didn't feel like I could, because I was so focused on hoarding away money. And now that I'm close to the finish line, I realize that, right? Don't let that be you. Don't let that be you. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you need help coming up with your own financial plan that includes a really robust retirement plan, reach out to us at www.modernwealth.com. That's modern, spelt with no vowels, wealth.com. I'll see you next time.